So you know when the end of the month is nearing and you know what still needs to happen and you look at your bank account and you go, oh shit. Today we talk about money, the panic-inducing part of parenting no one warned you about. If you're still wearing the same tights since 2012 but your kids have the best of everything, stay tuned. I'm your host Madge and this is Moments. Janine Horn is the CEO and founder of the Dragonfly Institute, a financial advocate, executive advisor, and thought leader in the financial service industry. Through her initiative, Project 1 Million, she aims to educate 1 million kids on the South African Cape Flats and townships via her financial literacy book series. She also runs a successful financial planning practice and created the financial dating program to help couples build healthy financial habits together. If you've ever needed someone to help you with savvy spending, it's her. Welcome, Janine.
Thank you, Madge. Thanks for having me.
Janine, when it comes to money, it's always a headache. There seems to be too much to do with too little.
Absolutely.
So why do you think moms feel guilty when we can't give our kids the best of everything?
Yeah. So moms feel guilty very easily. I think that's the first part, is we wear a guilt cloak.
Yes.
We almost wear it as a badge of honor.
Yes.
And it comes with being a mom. So when that badge of honor is invisibly created, it's the concept of the best for my child because either I didn't have it, and even if I did have the best, there's the best culture. So we're almost living in a more competitive environment, and moms do it faster and sooner than dads.
Okay.
It almost comes so easily to us moms. The second thing is we don't see money as a part of that transaction.
Okay.
We separate the momminess from the moneyness.
That's so interesting.
Yes, we separate them, and in our heads, money is transactional to do stuff for the house and the kids.
Okay.
And so, being a mommy, the money part comes in so soon. And we don't see money as ours to build our own wealth, our own portfolios, and do us first.
Yeah, never.
Yeah.
So what drives this emotional guilt? Is it society? Is it social media? Is it us? Where does it come from?
Combination of it all.
Okay.
Combination of it all. And we're trying to almost compensate. Think about how expensive life is at the moment. There are very few households in this age that have single parent incomes. So mostly we are all working. Mm. And as I said, we wear that cloak very easily. We almost put it on once we give birth.
Yeah.
And that whole guilt-based parenting that we take on as moms is really the compensation of almost over-parenting. We're also a helicopter parent generation.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't remember my parents helicoptering me.
No, never.
Right? So we've gone the opposite direction, and they do say that that's the problem with our generation, is we've gone the extreme opposite. And so it's a compensation thing. It's a lack of being able to be there all the time as a working mom. And that compensation comes with the guilt and then the spending. So those three then go hand in hand. So the separation of what's money for me is now money as a mommy for us. And then the guilt, the overcompensation. And then there's a Journal of Consumer Research that found that guilt leads to pro-social purchasing. So there's that social aspect that you spoke about. Meaning we overspend on others because basically we want to feel better about ourselves.
Yeah, okay.
So that's what guilt is, right? Guilt is, I give so much to you, so it makes me feel better.
Yes. Okay.
And so that's an interesting,
Yeah.
and it's been journaled.
That's amazing.
So it's not just a feeling thing,
Yeah.
it's not just a norm thing, it's now a factual thing.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
There's also that societal expectation of, I think because we work, all the kids do soccer or ballet or swimming, and then you feel your kids are going to be left out if they don't
Absolutely.
join. And all of those things not only cost,
An
the
arm and a leg,
coaching
yeah.
cost a lot, but also the equipment.
Yeah.
And then they go on a match, and then it's a different uniform from when they practice, and it all adds up. And when we were kids, we just did the school sports, or we just did what we wanted to do. It wasn't that pressure.
And schooling has changed. So schooling now makes sports compulsory.
Yeah,
Think about also, we went to one school only. It was the school down the road. I didn't have to apply at 5 different schools. There wasn't that competition.
yeah,
So that very statement shows that there's an intense competition also from an environmental aspect.
yeah,
And so the intensive parenting culture has created those demons. The Pinterest pressure, I call it.
yeah,
The fact that we're almost over-muraling our kids because the competition, that ecological, environmental competition that's almost cascaded down into our households.
yeah,
And that's cascading down because now your daughter and your son comes home and says, but this, and that, and the other. I find parents put financial planning last. So besides overspending, they also put financial planning last. The amount of times I've spoken to parents and I said, is your will in place? They do not understand that it's part of the needs of that household. And we may be coming to it a little bit later. But it's again because we want to give in to the Pinterest culture.
yeah,
We want to give in to the cascading of the societal pressure that's coming down in this
Image.
environment. Absolutely, absolutely. And so we're internalizing those ideals
yeah,
as opposed to a firm line in the sand. There's a formula that says 50% on needs, 30% on wants, 20% on savings. And that's your 100% of your household budget.
okay,
So the sit down with the kids around 5,000 extramurals and 5,000 play dates is a discernment and a conversation between wants, needs. And if we understand that certain things are needs, one sport per season,
yeah,
then the rest are wants. And then we understand that sometimes the budget doesn't allow for wants.
yeah,
And we sacrifice a lot of our wants because we make our kids' wants the needs of the household. I'm going to repeat that. We sacrifice our wants because we make the kids' wants the needs of the household.
that is so true. It's like what you're saying is literally explaining my entire budget.
Exactly, right? And so then we go, but there isn't money, there isn't money, there isn't money. And so if I were to put the financial planning hat on, I'll go, but there is money, because tell me about everything you're doing. If I scrutinize your bank account, or if you scrutinize your bank account through my lens, we will see there's an overspending on wants. So there's not even savings sometimes in the household. Part of the needs are things like, because I don't know if you know Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So the theory there is there's a couple of layers in that triangle, and it gets the base is quite big because that's your basic safety, etc. So those are needs. But companionship, compassion, love, self-actualization, they are all part of our human needs. So even things like school sports, us doing our hair, us buying makeup, us making ourselves feel pretty, it's part of our needs. And so we're sacrificing part of our needs as mommies to really oversupply to the kids. So if you remember that formula, you can then start having conversations with your kids.
Yeah.
And that's the third part that's lacking, is we're not having these conversations.
Yeah.
I know my parents didn't. I know when there was money and I know when there wasn't. But my mom used to say to me, when you and your sister were little and I earned 45 Rand a month, I saved 3 Rand.
Oh, wow.
I'm that old and my parents are that old, right?
Impossible.
And later on, she would say, I started saving 50 Rand. They never spoke to me about it, though. They never spoke to me about we working towards something. When I was 7, 9, my parents did their matric around the same little table in Mitchell's Plain and the Cape Flats. So I could see when we had money, because now things changed. They were promoted. They never spoke to me about it, though. Then we would have, I was a model, right? Now there's more money and I now want more clothes. And then mom's Fushini account was very high.
Okay.
They never spoke to me about debt. So we're missing the conversational piece. And that's why I started with those books, Madge. Okay. Which is starting to teach kids about money from an early age. So it allows us as mommies to be able to have the conversation easier.
Yeah, because we don't really know where to start and what is safe for them to know, for them not to panic and stress
100%.
and take on our
stress. Our
stress,
panic about it. And so what do we say? There isn't money, there isn't money. My little nephew would often say, but mommy said there isn't money. And so the reframe of that is, it's not within the budget. Remember, we spoke about the budget because we only have X amount to spend on something like this. So we make a list of wants and needs together, and we say, but we must save because it's, remember, 20% of the 100%.
Yeah.
And so the kiddies, when they get pocket money or birthday money, must also go needs 50, wants 30, savings 30. So as soon as we as mommies take control of that, there is a perception, and I may be wrong, there's a perception that we as moms and as females bring that messages into the household, where daddies don't do it as often. Okay. So there's that, also that misalignment. It's maybe it's not a daddy thing to parent better. It's maybe not a man thing to have such an interesting new conversation. But maybe it's a mommy thing. Yeah. Mommies almost get to do the hard work too. Oh.
So Janine, it comes back to, it's as simple as boundaries.
Yes.
It's not in the budget, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, what are the parts of our lives where parents actually overspend, where we step out of that boundary?
Red wine. Not for the kids, for ourselves. So if I were to rephrase your question, I would say, do you know your boundaries? And a lot of the times it's no. Yeah. Because we haven't had that conversation. We haven't broken up the percentages.
Yes.
So how am I going to know my boundaries and when I'm allowed to overstep them? Yeah. Because I also have to give myself permission, don't I? Yeah. And so if I don't know the formula, if I don't know and implement that for myself, I won't know what the boundaries are. And then secondly, what do I allow myself and when do I allow myself, or when do I give permission to step over the boundary? And then what is that boundary? Is that boundary now investing more money for myself, for my retirement, for my old age? Because we're all going to get old, most of us, right? Is it that I can have a wealthy mindset? Is it that I can say, I'm doing a seasonal shop? I've started giving myself permission. And so when the deliveries come, they go, oh, it's again for her. And I'm going, yes, because for 20 years it was for you. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So it is for her now. Yeah. So yes, we have had the broken tights for many years, while the kids have had every new color this season. And so we also produce adults that have no boundaries. Yeah. So when we understand our boundaries, when we have that conversation, when we cascade that percentage message down, we begin to raise financially literate adults. Because we weren't financially literate. Yeah. Because if we were, we'd understand the concepts I've mentioned.
Yeah, that's so important. Yeah. It's actually so simple and straightforward. Yeah. We must just do it and stick to it.
Yeah. And think about it, nobody's ever had the conversation unless you have a relationship with a financial advisor or professional, or unless at your workplace there was a financial wellness day, or unless your colleagues and your mates and your female tribe, your girl tribe are speaking about these things. You're kind of doing it in a silo. Yeah. You're really just talking women's stuff and you're talking mommy stuff. and maybe marriage stuff, right?
Yeah.
But nobody really wants to talk money stuff,
Yeah.
other than how expensive it is and how much extramurals. And
Yeah.
so it's talking about the give,
Spending,
but we're not
yeah.
talking about the gains.
Yeah.
And we're not giving each other tips for the gains. So that we can also rid ourselves of our self-imposed cloak, our self-dressed shame, guilt cloak.
Yeah.
We almost wear it like a badge of honor or a crown.
Yeah.
So it's about stripping ourselves of that. And I always say visualize the strip, and yes, you're going to see the rolls and the love handles when you visualize it. But maybe this time don't see it.
Yeah.
Strip yourself, do a visualization of that guilt, that perception, that false narrative, and then empower yourself around what you're going to clothe yourself with. You know, as women, we say she's clothed in strength and dignity. This is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not separate. It's not a separate thing.
That's so interesting. So many people do overspend on things like private schools or high-end baby gear or designer clothes for their kids.
Strollers. No longer
Yeah.
prams, it's strollers.
Yeah. Are all those things actually worth it in the end?
If it's aligned to your values and if it's in your budget. And if you are doing the 50, 30, 20, the 50 is holistic financial planning, savings, short-term, long-term emergency. If you're doing all of those things, then yes, because that may be a budget that suits that lifestyle,
Yeah.
because it's included according to those categories.
Everything comes back to the formula.
100%. So if it's a values-based thing, if you place a value on that, and if you can afford that value, and if you want to take that message into the legacy. That's a deep word. It's a loaded word.
Yeah.
And so when I go back to the story of my parents and my mom's savings, now I understand the legacy that she's created. The legacy of improvement, of empowerment, the legacy of, because when her mom said, hey, you need to leave school in the poor apartheid days and go and work for the rest of the 9 siblings, she said, okay, cool, but I'll go to night school. So that empowerment piece, that piece of the legacy of inspiration, the legacy of go for your goals, don't ever stop, the legacy of structure, the legacy of not putting ourselves last and being the martyrs and being the unprofessional powerhouses, because it's that thing as well, you know. So I'm a great mom. I give my kids everything, my household. We have this expensive stuff and we're always having birthday parties and she must have, so I'm a great mom.
Yeah.
What about being just a great mom without that?
Yeah.
So we're also adding those titles and those layers on.
Yeah. So something you said earlier was, it struck me when you said that it's something people sometimes overspend when it's something they didn't have. So they feel like it's an investment. But where do you draw the line between investment and indulging or drowning yourself in debt?
So drowning yourself in debt is very true. South African middle income to upper are the most indebted in our country. So debt was easier in the past. There's now a lot more acts and law and legislation that makes it more difficult to continue to be over-indebted. But it's that looking at the man in the mirror bit. So it's the honesty factor. It's also the return on investment factor. And it sounds like I'm talking a lot of financial jargon, words, concept, but it's just it's a practical statement. And even I said to my kids, so I'm going to have to work till 70 because as young parents, we invested in better schooling for you. And then moving out of our poorer areas to go to different schools. Because there is still a difference in education, I'm afraid, in terms of the geographics and the demographics of South Africa, right? But we also need to understand what is that return on that investment. and knowing the difference between private school fees and Model C school. And I know they don't call them Model C schools as such, but there's a massive difference in fees just by those two distinctions. But what's going to be the difference? Is there a difference when this adult comes out at matric at the end of 12 years?
Yeah.
So it's removing the rose-colored lenses and putting on clear lenses.
Yeah.
And determining what's the investment I'm wanting to make. So you spoke about over-indebtedness, the honest conversation about that with yourself. The second part you said was investment versus overindulgence. I think we know when we overindulge.
Yeah.
It's that red wine bit, right? So we know when we overindulge and we excuse it. We normalize it.
We justify
it.
Yeah.
And so if you can't be honest with yourself, you're going to continue to excuse it and justify it. And so I don't have a great remedy for that, but I do start to say, if you need to think about something 3 times, it's alluding to a problem statement.
Okay.
So if you're kind of going,
that's good advice.
I'm now again at this birthday party and how much I'm going to spend.
Yeah.
And I really don't have it, but I'm going to put it on Payflex or MobiCredit.
Yeah.
That's already, because I've thought about it 3 times.
Yeah.
So what I started introducing to my kids were, whatever you want for Christmas and birthday, this is your budget for your birthday and Christmas present. Okay. So I would give them a rand value. The rest,
including the party, or
the
just
rest,
the present?
Everything. The rest you have to either work for and go and cut Opa's grass or whatever.
Okay.
I bribed my kids with, so my boy was a sports talented human being. However many goals into the water polo net and over the rugby poles, and A's, so number 7s.
Okay.
That used to earn you from 10 rand to 100 rand. In a matric, it was 1,000 rand. Right? Okay. And then one water polo tournament, he scored 21 goals.
Oh dear.
And I was like, okay, this is not going to work, right? And I couldn't
renege. Cap it.
I didn't have a cap. And I couldn't renege on that. I thought, well, you're going to have to stick to the agreement here. So that was a big lesson.
Oh.
But that's your budget for all 3, party, Christmas, birthday.
Okay.
If it's over budget, you work for it, or we reduce, or we say, well, next year we'll get it.
Okay.
So we'll get the PS4 or the whatever. Maybe I'm out of sync now because my son's older on the new names. But if it's out of budget, so we go into next year.
Yeah.
And then he would say like, okay, maybe can I do 2 or 3 presents? And then I'd say, what do you really want? That expensive one. Then we're not going to compromise.
Yeah.
So it's difficult at first, but then it becomes the norm.
And the lessons they learn from it is so valuable.
I mean, I'm fighting with him now as a 20-year-old going, you're supposed to save half your pocket money and not party it out. Yeah. So the rule has gone a little bit out the door because now he's an adult. Yeah. So the grip has been released.
But he's got that foundation and he'll come back to that.
It's the understanding, It's the understanding thereof.
So bringing us back to budgets, if there's someone listening or watching today and she feels overwhelmed and she doesn't know where to start, what are some practical budgeting tips you can give us?
So, COVID was quite a nice example. I recommended, I had a couple of radio slots during COVID because everybody's like, how are we going to get through COVID? And, So one of the budgeting tips was talk about what is available to spend on what. So, if we only have X amount for food, then we can't go to McDonald's every week. We'll have to do it every second weekend.
Yeah.
And then they know it and they understand it. If I were to go a step back, I'd say, do we even have budgets?
Yeah.
Then there's the true assessment of, are my expenses actually more than my income? So do I have to start a side hustle? The other practical example is, for every 1 new item, you're going to give me 2 old. So you don't have that over surplus mindset, because kids also grow up with surplus mindsets because there's new trends, new clothes all the time.
Yeah.
So if you want something new, you have to give me 2 items back as old. And often it's my favorite sneakers and it is my favorite pants, and it's okay, I don't need. Okay. So it allows for that, do I really need it conversation? And again, the tip about think 3 times, and if I have to think 3 times, then it means there's a problem statement.
Okay.
Food, so we eat, how many times a day do we eat, how many snacks do we eat? So it gets really rudimental almost when it comes to food, really rudimental to play dates. Because now imagine how many play dates, how much they cost.
Yeah.
Recycle the play dates. So not every weekend at my house.
Yeah.
Recycle the play dates amongst the tribe of mommies.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, there's I think your household's practices, understand what those are, understand what those habits are. Food waste. I mean, we're needing to want to feed our kids better diets. And then the amount of food that goes in the bins.
Yeah, it's
because
shocking.
It's our want for the better diets, but then kids go, I'm not going to have cucumber with every meal.
No, or bread crusts.
Right? Yeah. Well, bread crusts are okay because you can put a peanut butter and give it to the dog.
Yeah.
That's what we do anyway. So those are type of the ideas for practical ideas. You know, what are your practices? And then what habits can you stack onto those practices? Okay. So this concept of habit stacking. It's my buzzword for the year. But what habits can I stack onto those that allow us to change our practices? Okay. And again, moms can have young ones or older ones like mine. And so it's also reminding your kids about wants, needs, and
and educating them about it.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting that you mentioned COVID, because in COVID, I didn't have my income and I had 2 kids in nappies. So we had to cut down drastically, like to the bone. And still today, I would think before I buy something, or if it's like indulgence, I would think, okay, what would I have done 5 years ago? And then I know, okay, my Earl Grey tea it's a treat.
Yes,
because back then it was not near my shopping list. Yeah. So it's also a way of like, it's great to have that perspective, and I think many people before COVID didn't have it.
True.
So it's context to know what we as a family need
100%.
and want, because back then there were no wants.
Totally.
It was surviving.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so survival, there is some stats around COVID. There's a lot of survival trauma. So it's a fine line between never wanting to indulge and treat myself or allowing my one treat. So you know how you tell your kids you were allowed one treat?
Yeah.
Give yourself permission for one treat.
Okay.
And choose that treat. And choose that treat. And if it's Earl Grey that makes you happy because of Maslow's hierarchy of needs and comfort, companionship, self-actualization, which is actually all about you then, mommy.
Yeah.
You know, because what treats have you taken away from your kids to allow you one treat?
Yeah.
Think about that, because chances are they're still getting all their treats and you're not wanting to give yourself the one treat.
So how much should we be saving for our kids' futures, and how do we start if we actually are stretched too thin?
So we don't start early enough. It's now, we're looking at now only. We don't want to talk about the future, we don't look to the future. Hence, 82% of South Africans don't have wills because we don't believe we're going to die. Same concept. So we start too late. We don't participate in investments. We talk about savings. I've got money in the bank.
Okay.
And so our money is not working for us. So whether you're saying I can afford, again, talks to budget, talks to about your living, your cost of living, your lifestyle, there's the word I was looking for. Back to the compulsory nature of 50, 30, 20, savings must be in that 100%. And so where we start depends again on your 100%. And if it means that you start when your child is born at 100 Rand a month, and you put it in a unit trust portfolio, or you look at 1,000 Rand a month as a recommended start. You start to participate in compound interest. My best story of compound interest is the chessboard. I teach this to kids all the time. And I say, if you took 1 grain of rice and you doubled it up on every consecutive board, so 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, that story.
Yeah.
By the end of the chessboard, you're sitting with some ridiculous number that I don't think you and I even knew existed. It's like a quintillion number.
Oh, wow.
So that's the Warren Buffett concept of this world. So if we start to say to our kids, it's important that we talk about how much we can spend on wants. It's important that we start changing movie dates, that we talk about the practices, that we go to the shop once, that mommy doesn't drive around 7,000 times around the school because now you're not coming out. That's also diesel, that's also money, right?
Yeah.
To the earlier conversation. That your child now begins to understand, mommy also needs to save for her future and my future. My future is that I would most likely need to want to study something when I'm done with school.
Yeah.
And that cost, right now, parents need to have at least 500,000. Right now. Why? Because you have raised in school, and I mean, I heard on the radio the other day that I think CPUT has space for 9,000 new students, and they receive an average of 500,000 per year. So think about the tight competition.
Yeah.
And you may end up at a college that's double the price of CPUT because now it's a private college.
Yeah.
Then your child is a sports star, cost of rugby tours, water polo tours, gears, all of those things.
Yeah.
So also being able to tell a little one and a child at primary school, what does your future look like? It may be that you start playing sports, and it may be that you play for the A team, and then you have to go on tours, and then you have to have school friends over, or there's a touring school that I have to host. That's going to cost me money.
Yeah.
So I need to save for your future too.
Yeah.
And when kids understand that, it's not a difficult thing going forward. Because to them it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, because they understand the logic behind
absolutely.
it.
We've given the logic.
Yeah.
We've made practical sense of it.
Okay.
We've given and illustrated to them in real life what I need it for.
Yeah. Wow. So your kids' future and education versus paying off your debt, which one should we tackle first?
Sure. Education and debt are both in the 50% basket. Savings are in the 100% basket. If you are finding that there's more expenses because you're over indebted, as a South African, you have consumer rights. So it's taking counsel, seeking advice to understand that I'm over indebted. And there are South African consumer rights that now, since NCR, all of those things have come into play that can help you get out of that quandary. Many South Africans don't know those consumer rights. Okay. Many South Africans don't know the percentage of being over indebted. And there's some beautiful calculators, and it's bank calculators. There's some debt help companies that have their calculators on online. Kudo have it online. Capitec have an online app, an online calculator, where you can actually say, am I over indebted or not?
Okay.
So those are freely available on the World Wide Web.
Okay.
And so income to little, side hustle, adjustments in lifestyle, adjustments in where we stay, how we stay. Sometimes it is about unlocking value in property and assets to be able to invest better, to be able to put lump sum money away and then purchasing a lower property, a lower price, lower value property, although property in Cape Town is very expensive. So consumer rights, over indebtedness, you have consumer rights that can help you restructure your debt without the phone calls that bug you and keep you up at night without the panic of how I'm going to make it through this month. So we need to be proactive about understanding our money, number one. Number two, the budget. Number three, 50, 30, 20. Number four, having the conversations. Number five, changing, habit stacking on the practices. And then there's the consumer rights of being over-indebted. And remember...
Is that like going into debt review?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, debt counseling, debt review, debt rehabilitation. So it's restructuring your debt in a legal manner that protects you.
So you don't go to a loan shark.
Absolutely. And not the panic, the quality of lifestyle.
Yeah.
And some of those guys are very good. They talk about the quality of lifestyle. They talk about the fact that, ma'am, you hardly have money to buy enough food. So you're borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. Yeah. And the cycle repeats itself because there's one answer that perhaps you haven't looked at. There's one solution that you haven't looked at. So over-indebtedness, debt counseling, debt restructure, then those calculators that I speak of, both those aspects of your question fits into the 50% of the needs and then the 100% of the budget. And so what is the budget? And if the budget is compromised because of an overexpense issue or because of an overspending issue, then there's intervention that you need to then take. And so if we think about the question, if you fast forward, if we had a looking glass and we could fast forward to what would be the ideal future for our child, you begin to say, well, I want this child to have quality of life, a decent educational career, or we've got a family business and I want him to have the skills in that family business. And yes, going to university may be overrated because there's a lot of other ways that we can develop and grow and build on talent, skills, and a career, right? If there is a family business, is that child just automatically going to be absorbed into it? And mommy and daddy is going to keep him protected from the real side, of the business, and we're going to do all the work until we're 65, 70, and then he can take over and run the ship down. What skills are we giving our kids? And so in that question, again, it's so loaded, because the bit about what is the future like, the bit about the skills that I'm imparting, the bit about both of those are important. And there are households that are currently going to be swearing if they hear this piece, because they're going, Janine, there isn't money. We're just struggling to survive. And unfortunately, that's a difficult one to give any advice or tips to, because it's so strained. But if those two things can be addressed first, is the income too little for the expenses? Then looking at the expenses and saying, what intervention do I need? Is there a side hustle? Do I need to start a second business? There are stories of mommies working 2 jobs. Yeah. And that's why that guilt in the earlier conversation. That's why that compromise. And unfortunately, the cost of living is so expensive today. So the income expense issue becomes an issue. Yeah. And so the quick answer would be you need to earn more income.
Yeah, make more money.
Yeah, make more money. And so the better answer is review the expenses, review the debt, make the adjustments, look at what legal assistance and advice you can get, have the conversation with the family, get everybody on board, readjust the budget, and be okay with it. Yeah. Because we are also not okay with it. Yeah. It's seen as an insult to injury. It's seen as
scandal,
salt in the wounds. Yeah. It's seen as, but people can't know, so I'm rather going to hold the blink can't boer.
Oh, yeah.
Nee? Yeah. That's our own mask, our own cloaks. Yeah. And again, let's remove it.
People are so much more understanding.
Let's remove it. Yeah. And if you have a tribe that is a true tribe, there's going to be no, anyway. Absolutely, there's going to be no judgment there.
So you just said everyone needs to be on the same page, which brings me to my next part of our conversation, and that's when partners are not on the same page. When the one's a spender and one's a saver, and
financial dating 101.
Exactly. So how do you navigate when spending money and budget is always a conflict?
It almost goes back to to what is the vision and the values for this household. Unfortunately, there's still a cultural thing, there's still a gender thing, there's still a patriarchal tone that doesn't make it such an easy thing for us to change. But if I were to throw that out the room just for a moment,
Sure.
and almost say, well, let's take that out and put it here, right? And put it on the sidelines and say, where can we start? Often it's a different value system. So we fall in love with a human, but we don't fall in love with the value system.
Yeah.
Often it's a familial, how I grew up, response issue. It's a systematic oppression issue. It's a poverty mindset issue. It's an ego issue. And so that makes it a very complicated, messy situation. And now we must still be on the same page.
Yeah.
And each of us have those issues. So
And you feel like you've worked for that money,
Yes.
like you deserve it.
I deserve it. And it's mine.
Yeah, don't you come and tell me what I can do with my money.
100%. So there's this concept called FKPs, financially knowledgeable persons.
Okay.
Sounds like a real lekker swear word.
Yeah, it does.
So FKPs basically says that each of us, male and female, are participating financially, and therefore we should all be able to be spending and gaining the same assets, etc. But us mummies have less,
Yeah.
own less, do more for the house.
Yeah.
So a scripted conversation could be things like, what are your value systems? Compassion, family, giving my family the best. Me. Red flag. Okay. No amount of financial dating is going to help.
Okay.
Because it's actually not a finance problem, it's a dating problem.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what's the values? Are we sitting on the same page in terms of values, goals, desires, dreams, wishes?
Yeah.
What's the vision? So even if you did a family vision board, I've done that many times with my own family, even as recent as a year ago.
Okay.
Because we're building businesses together, we're in different phase of our kids' relationship and ages, but it's still a mommy thing. It's still a family thing.
Yeah.
It's still a partner thing. Is she earning more than him? Is he earning more than her? And so what's the ego exchange there? What's the power trip exchange? And I thought about this question still this morning, because in my financial dating program, I speak about what are your financial values? What are your human values? What are your financial values? And then what are your parenting values?
Okay.
And that then again starts to create a narrative.
Because those three can all be very different.
For the two of us as a couple.
Yeah. Or even for me, my parenting values and my adulting values or human being values
is different to my finance values.
It's not necessarily aligned.
Yes.
Yeah.
So besides you as one human having those
now
three,
there's two.
now there's two of us. So we're sitting with like 5 different dynamics, right? So it's the creating a vision for us as a family, creating a vision for us as a parent body, and then creating a vision for us as a couple.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And my dreams, desires, and goals have now been spilt. The milk is spilt.
Yeah.
And so yours may be aligned. And if they're misaligned, seek counsel, seek help. Don't let it become financially ugly.
And you need to communicate so it doesn't become resentful or ugly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This is the final section that each guest on Moments get the same 5 final questions. And the first one is, which part of your human experience was changed the most by becoming a mother?
Sure. Such a loaded question. If I were to choose one part, I would choose the part of my sense of legacy.
Okay.
My sense of empowerment. And I feel that I was born to impact people. I feel like that's like my day job. That's what I was put on this earth for.
Okay.
And so I want to impact my 2 human beings. I call them my offspring.
Okay.
I want to give my offspring that legacy of empowered, of empowered. And I think that was change with being a mommy. That was the piece that became about them.
Yeah, okay, I love that. Looking back, what would you do differently?
I would have gone on financial dating, for sure. Okay. You can often see how your partner will potentially be by his family's relationships, and he often, my partner would say, we got by with very little, and so I'm okay with very little. And I would say, but we deserve to be rich.
Okay.
We deserve it, and it's okay. It's a mindset thing. So whether it's a good mindset to be okay with very little versus a wealthy mindset to want and to deserve and to sit in that space of, I deserve this. Yeah. I deserve a good retirement. I deserve to have money to put my kid through good education. Yeah. I would have asked for help sooner. Okay. I would have, it's such couples go to the priest and the imam and the marriage counselor for, counseling and classes, and you go to the prenatal classes before you have baby, but we don't go to financial classes. We don't do financial dating. We don't talk about money. And so I think the help sooner, understanding the money narrative sooner, that's the second one. And then I think Superwoman is a myth.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
She's a myth. Yeah. She's a character on TV.
Yeah.
So we don't have to be super moms. We can just be good women and good moms.
Yeah, that's the carrot they try to...
Whoever they are.
Yeah, yeah. It's probably us. We're holding the fishing rod with the
this
carrot
way around,
and we're chasing it. Yeah. So what are you most grateful for on your mom journey?
The awakening.
Okay.
The awakening. The higher vibration of that.
Okay. I love
Sounds very
that.
spiritual, but it is spiritual.
It is spiritual.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So your kids are big and young adults. What are you talking to them about being a parent and parenting?
My daughter says she's not going to become a parent. She's leaving it to my son.
Okay.
At one stage, he said he wanted 5 children. I don't know if that's still the thing.
Good luck to him.
Yeah. So I'm saying to them, it's not about perfection. Because those kids call us adults out. And I share this with younger moms, younger couples. Those offspring will call you out on your varkies when you are older. They will call you out on it. And they will say things like, why haven't you gone for therapy? Okay. Why haven't you done something about it? Because to them it's crystal clear. And so what I am telling my kids, and I've already instilled it, I'm having money conversations, I'm having wealthy mindset conversations, I'm having the conversation about thriving and not just surviving. And I'm having the conversation that we all are human, and humanness is ever evolving. And so don't put a box on your evolution.
I love that so much.
Don't put a box on your evolution. Yeah. Give yourself permission.
You're still evolving.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No matter how old you are.
Totally.
How far you've come.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. And then the last question is, what is your North Star when you make parenting decisions?
Their heartbeats. Their heartbeats. My North Star is literally envisioning their heartbeats. And yes, I also threw everything at them. But it has changed when they gotten older. It was more about the support. So when they needed counseling, coaching, guidance, therapy, it was about what does your heartbeat need? What is your soul's desire? And that's been my North Star. It's finding the bravery in them and helping them to live in it.
I love that so much. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm going to steal it.
You may.
Janine, you're such a wealth of knowledge, and your work and your contribution is making such a big difference. And I know it will for every single person listening to this episode
thanks
today.
for having me.
Thank you.
It's been phenomenal.
Thank you. So if you're sitting with a knot in your stomach when you see all the notifications of school activities, another kiddies party, or the school uniform is outgrown again, just remember there are smarter ways to go around it than drowning yourself in debt. Follow Janine's advice and follow Moments on Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts, and have some fun with us on Instagram. And we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.
I was told to sleep when my baby sleeps.
Sibu says at 6 months, baby should be sitting up.
The group chat says their babies sleep through the night.
They say it's important to show control at all times.
Sometimes I wish away the tough times.
Yo, but sometimes I wish I could relive them again and again.